Child loss in India is a huge taboo. Losing a child is the worst kind of grief one goes through. So nobody wants to talk about it. And I knew exactly what I had to speak then. Hi, my name is Swagata Majumdar, and I've been a media person since as long as I can remember. I've been a journalist, then a radio jockey in India and abroad, and now I'm back to journalism again. I'm also a voice coach, voice actor for more than 20 years.
I met Swagata through one of my friend who is happened to be her cousin brother, and we started talking over phone first initially, and then started with emails, and then we finally met at Kolkata.
So this fellow, my husband, he Googled me apparently, and he says that he fell in love with the picture he saw on Google. We have framed that picture, by the way, on our walls just to remind where we started. I'm very loud and a boisterous person. I've always been that. And he was a stark opposite. He was quiet. He would just listen to me. He was smiling. And the way he looked at me, nobody had looked at me like that before. So in my heart, I kind of knew.
I remember her cheeks, which is very funny, but obviously. And I have seen several times when I'm late in receiving her in airport, or I'm late in some places, she has been crying and her cheeks are completely visible, and that's funny now, but not then.
So I have known Swagata since 2015. So that makes it like 8-9 years. And but it's just, technically 9 years. We both would agree that this was meant to be, and we have known each other for since forever. And she is very spontaneous. She is great with bringing people together, creating a sense of community, and that makes everyone around her happy. She is, of course, a happy person, and she has got a great sense of humor. Yeah, that makes her lovable. She's crazy.
We got married in 2013. I moved to Bangalore with him. And soon after, we wanted to be parents.
So first we started planning in 2015 for our first baby, which was basically a blighted ovum. There was no life in it, so we did not get to see or get to hear the heartbeat. Second time, we had an unfortunate medically termination of pregnancy in 2018, and that was obviously which was something which was not expected.
And in 2019, we got to know that we are pregnant and we are having twins, and we always talked about having twins. So we were overjoyed that, finally dreams were coming true and we were having twins.
And 8th of March, I had planned to give her my baby shower in 2020.
Anirban had just come back from his only brother's wedding, which I could not attend. So I was very excited to know what all happened. On the night of 17th December, we had just had dinner, and I was lying down on the couch and listening to his stories from the wedding when I felt a gush coming out of me. I stood up, and there was a lot of fluid coming out of me, and Anirban was like, "You must have peed on yourself." And I said, no, this is not pee. This is something else. And in a few minutes, I could realize that, my sac just broke. And I was only 5 months pregnant by then. I was having fraternal twins, so I had 2 different sacks. While Gannu had a lot of water in his sack, Gamma had nothing. But both the babies were actually gaining weight, they were growing well. 1 month into my hospital stay, the day I turned 6 months pregnant and 26 weeks, the doctor told me, Swagata, you're doing well. Thankfully, your babies are well. We are discharging you now. Like the next day I was supposed to get discharged. We're discharging you now. Come back once you're in labor. That very night, my cord prolapsed for Gamma and they had to take me for an emergency C-section. Even before anybody could answer our queries, 2 babies were taken out from me.
Swagata was anyway given the anesthesia and she was half asleep. I could see the babies, but I didn't hear them crying. The doctor said all of them are okay. Babies have started breathing, but I was 99% nervous about babies coming out in 26 weeks.
Next morning, when I asked the doctors to take me to see my babies, they were not very keen. So when I reached the NICU, the doctor said Gamma may not make it anymore because he's not breathing. He's needing 100% oxygen. And Gannu is doing well. From his dependency from 60% oxygen, it's come down to 40% oxygen, which is a good sign. So I didn't look at Gannu that much because I was like, okay, this baby is going to survive. I told my mother, who was also there, I told I'm losing this baby Ma, but I want to give him the best funeral possible because I couldn't do his Annaprashan or I'll not get to see his milestone. So I told him, Ma, go fetch whatever good clothes you can find for this baby. He was very big for a 6-month-old baby. They were properly formed, They went and bought some amazing looking blankets and beautiful pillows and a dress for him. I was preparing for funeral. Though I could not step out of the hospital, my husband took Gamma to bury him. My 70-year-old mother was carrying my dead son throughout the journey. It was a very tough time for the family. After he left, I started getting the chills and the doctor diagnosed me with sepsis in that very time. Gannu was still alive and that is why I was still going, I was still holding fort. Next day, a day after Gamma passed, I told Anirban to go and check what Gannu was doing. He went once, he came back and told me, Gannu has jaundice. I said, don't worry about it. A lot of children have jaundice. He'll make it. He went the second time, he came back and told me, he's had a bit of bleeding, internal bleeding. And I just knew I'm going to lose another child. But I didn't say a word about it. That night, I sent Anirban again. I was in tremendous amount of pain. How bad is the pain? Do you want to come down and see him once? And I looked at his face and I asked him, what? And he did like this. And I said, Gannu? He said, no, he's still there. Do you want to come hold him? I just sprung out of the bed. I don't know from where I got the energy. The pain just went. First, I took him into my arms and I asked the doctor, point blank, is he still alive? And she's looking at me and she's like, oh, technically yes, but he's lost a lot of blood. We've tried to revive him a lot of times, but it's too much to take for a baby. And I held him in my arms and I kept telling him, no, Gannu, you can't leave me. Your brother has sacrificed himself for you to be alive. Leave me. You can't leave me. You have to be there. You have to fight, Gannu. You have to fight, Gannu. Your mother is resilient. You have to be resilient. I did that for 1 whole hour. He was waspy. His breath was very heavy for a newborn. After 1 hour, I told myself, what kind of mother would tell their baby to go through that tremendous pain when I know his gastrointestinal tract had burst open? What kind of mother I am to be so selfish and tell him to survive? This is when I told Gannu, I'm okay if you have to go. You leave. I can't see you in so much pain. Gannu passed away with a very heavy sigh 5 minutes later in my arms. When he gave his last breath, I looked up to Anirban and I said, he's gone. None of us were crying. My immediate reaction after both my sons passed was to die. I mean, they go to heaven, right? They're going to heaven. Who's going to take care of them? They're babies. If I don't die and go to them, who are going to take care of my children? That was my first thought. And I think all women go through this. All women, all bereaved mothers have gone through this feeling that I don't want to live anymore. This is when one afternoon, Anirban told me, you know, Swagata, this is not the way. You take stands on social media, you write about a lot of issues. You know, why don't you talk about your experience and the feelings that you're going through after losing the babies? You know, that way you might help a lot of other women who are bereaved. And you know, something just snapped. I had finally found a purpose to live. Up till that time, there was nothing, zilch. And then I was like, oh, okay, I have a work to do. I have to write about my experience. There are women like me.
The pain physically and emotionally was something that we cannot even think, forget expressing. I have seen her going through all of that.
When I entered the home empty with no babies in my arms to show is when it hit me really that they're gone forever. A lot of people who were very close until that point of time did not speak to me. A lot of people were saying things which were not right, but they thought at that point of time that it was right. They said things like time was the best healer. They said things like you will have babies again. People were not inviting me to their baby showers anymore. I wasn't invited to parties. I suddenly was not included in many happy family occasions. But that just made me more resilient. And I just knew exactly what my purpose was. I knew that I had to break all of this. Child loss in India is a huge taboo. Nobody wants to speak about it because losing a child is the worst kind of grief one goes through. So nobody wants to talk about it. And I knew exactly what I had to speak then.
she really needed a support, and she found one online, and it definitely helped her in many ways.
I just happened to bake a cake for Gamaganu's first monthly birthday, and we visited their graves. That's when I saw Anirban also taking interest in baking, and it just happened organically. Next month, we were again, both of us were, actually thinking about what cake to bake. And then we find a lot of happiness in thinking about what to bake and then bake for them. I started talking about it on social media. People started commenting that you should not be posting your dead babies' pictures. Nothing stopped me. I was posting about celebrations every month, how I want to remember them. And I started seeing a lot of DMs from a lot of strangers saying that they wanted to connect with me because, they have gone through this. And right now, nobody understands them. And they would write things like, nobody, including my husband, understands me right now after my loss, except for you, Swagata.
She became so strong. It's a baby loss, but at the same time, our babies are saying that yes, there are other mothers too, like you, mother. So you probably can help them by understanding them.
Kavita, Agnes, who lived abroad, and Priya, who had just moved from abroad to India, 4 of us came together and formed India's first bereaved mothers support group. Something that India was lacking and India needed at that point of time. In 2022, a miracle happened, and my daughter just arrived. And I was very happy. I was very happy. She's our rainbow baby. About a year later, after the first birthday of my daughter, I suddenly got to know that we have been matched with another child. And I opened the referral, the Kara referral that I had got. And we had not put any gender preferences, but we saw it's a boy. And I was like, oh my God, I'm having a boy, another boy. Can you believe? From wanting to have twins, now I have 4 children. 2 in heaven, 1 biological, and another adopted. And my head, my heart, my hands, everything is now so full.